From the Victory Studios in downtown Little Rock, this is Capitol View with your hosts, Roby Brock and David Goins.
And good Sunday morning to you and welcome into Capitol View. I'm David Goins.
And I'm Roby Brock. Thanks for joining us. First, a quick glance at what's coming up during this half hour.
We are joined by the chairman of the Democratic and Republican parties of Arkansas. We'll discuss what's next now that the 89th General Assembly has come to a close.
Plus, in our political roundtable, an insider's view of how the biggest pieces of legislation became law and what's next under the dome.
Joining us now are the chairman of those said Democratic and Republican parties, Will Bond. Doyle Webb, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Let's talk about what kind of session this was for you guys. We've heard from both sides of the aisle, leadership in both chambers, that this was a bipartisan session. Did you guys view this as a bipartisan legislative session?
Well, from the Arkansas Democrat perspective, we started out focusing on health care, and we wanted that to be the focus of the session. I think a lot of the first 75 or 80 days seem to be have a good deal of partisanship on some of the social issues that divide us. But when we got down to business on health care and we're able to expand health care coverage, we think that is great for everyday hardworking Arkansans. And so that was a great development at the end of the session.
Chairman Webb, do you consider it a bipartisan session?
Certainly I consider it bipartisan. I think it was a great session, the first in 138 years in which Republicans controlled both the Senate and the House. It was a people's session. The curtains of the state capitol were thrown open and the windows opened and fresh air came into the Capitol so that the people's will was heard once again.
Are you saying that there hasn't been any open curtains or open business in the state capitol for years? Chairman Bond, how would you respond to that?
Well, the state capitol has been open for business for years, and thank goodness for Governor Beebe to be the kind of parental guiding hand during this session, particularly when we thought it got off track in the early going with our new Republican majority steering the agenda to the right and then farther to the right and then farther to the right. So as we said, there were some good developments, but we think there was plenty of partisanship and plenty of division driven by the other side on these social issues.
Obviously, we know the House Speaker was fairly pleased at the end of the session when it wrapped up on Tuesday. We have some sound from Speaker Davy Carter talking about maybe some takeaways from the session. Let's take a listen.
Washington could learn some lessons on how to come together and work together like these men and women did here. Very proud.
Okay, based off that comment from Davy Carter, how do y'all feel about his comments on the session?
Well, certainly I agree with the Speaker. I think it's a good observation. We didn't have, Governor Beebe is not the liberal and with the liberal policies that President Obama is, so we didn't have that issue looming in front of us. I think you did see some partisanship when we came down to the issue of whether to implement Obamacare in Arkansas. And I think Republicans did the right thing. They looked at the issue. All Republicans were opposed to the implementation, but some Republicans looked at the best way to steer it in a different direction, to move to the private option. Others said we've got to stop it. So I think that was some partisanship at that time, but otherwise we worked pretty well together in Arkansas.
Will?
Well, as I said in the beginning, health care was a focus of Arkansas Democrats, and we were able to expand health care coverage. And I think the Republicans that voted for that did operate in a bipartisan manner. Obviously, that's a good thing. Governor Beebe and the House and Senate leadership and the Democrats that worked hard on the health care issue did a great job. I think what you saw in the health care vote and Big River Steel, the jobs vote, and some of the other votes is this division within the Republican Party is creating some issues where they have more extreme and radical members who don't want to work in a bipartisan way and some that do. And taking Democrats as a block with those more moderate Republicans, we were able to get some good things done, particularly at the end of the session.
We've got about 30 seconds left here in this particular block here. How does health care play out in the election cycle this next year? Is it a weapon for the Republicans to use against the Democrats, or do the Democrats have defense now because of it? Chairman Webb?
Well, I think a lot remains to be seen. There's a lot of waivers and a lot of triggers in what has been proposed. We'll have to see whether it comes to fruition or not. So I think the last chapter of that book hasn't been written yet.
Chairman Bond?
Well, I think hardworking Arkansans and the people of Arkansas are going to come to appreciate and understand what expanded coverage means for the people of Arkansas. We're talking about 250,000 people who now have access to affordable health care, and that's a good thing. And that maybe you got to take the politics out of it and think, hey, having a daycare worker or a waitress or these hardworking folks who can now have health insurance, that's a benefit to all of us. We want our neighbor to be productive.
I'm not sure if politics is going to come out of it or not. We'll talk about that a little bit more after the break here. I'm Roby Brock. He is David Goins. We're going to be back with Chairman Webb, Chairman Bond, right after this word from our sponsors.
One of the real advantages of electric cooperatives membership is having a voice in our state's energy future.
Not a week goes by without important energy issues making headlines. These are issues that need to be discussed. And you should know that as policies are being developed, the cooperatives are looking out for our members, advocating what's best for you.
We are your friends and neighbors.
We are your local electric company.
The electric cooperatives.
We are Arkansas.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
Welcome back to Capitol View. I'm Roby Brock.
And I'm David Goins. We're back with the chairman of the Democratic and Republican parties, Will Bond and Doyle Webb. Gentlemen, thank you for rejoining us for this next segment.
I want to pull a picture up here for you guys to take a look at on the monitor here. This was at the bill signing ceremony of the health care vote taken by Dave Ramsey, who'll be in the next block with us here from the Arkansas Times. It is Jonathan Dismang, Republican Senator, David Sanders, Republican Senator, John Burris, Republican representative there, doing an Obama fist bump on the health care private option vote here.
Did they call it that?
You guys were talking before the break about the fact that you don't think health care is going to be necessarily a political issue in 2014. I would beg to differ that it is.
Well, let me clarify what I said. What I think the question really is, how will Arkansans react? And what I was saying is they're going to realize that expanded coverage is a good thing for their neighbor and for the whole state. And obviously it's still going to be talked about politically. And in the future, just like when Democrats delivered on Social Security and Medicare, this expanded coverage is going to be something we look back on and thank Democrats and Arkansas Democrats for pushing this through.
Yet it's a Republican contrived plan, Chairman Webb.
Well, what I said and what I still believe is we don't know that that plan will be approved. If the private option plan is approved, it will probably be lesser of an issue. But we'll remember and remind people constantly that it was the vote of Senator Pryor and the vote of Congressman Ross that gave us Obamacare, gave us the lemons that we had to try and make lemonade out of.
All right, David.
Yeah, there's a couple quotes from Senator Jonathan Dismang and Representative Greg Leding right at the end of the session on Tuesday. First, the one from Jonathan Dismang saying, "I think we made conservatives proud. We made the party proud, and I think we've proven that we can govern efficiently and through adversity." And from Greg Leding, Democrat, obviously in the minority party for the first time since Reconstruction, he said, "The way that the political winds are blowing, I like our chances of taking back the House in 2014. I'll start with Doyle Webb. Do you think that is a realistic option, given the fact that health care is certainly more popular amongst Democrats, the private option expansion?
Well, what I see happening in 2014 is that the people of Arkansas have seen what a real conservative legislature is, and they will expand those numbers, and we will come back with a greater majority to improve greater tax reduction, more pro-life bills, greater efficiencies in government, and that'll be a referendum that Republicans will gain seats in the 2014 election.
Will, your thoughts on that? I mean, obviously 51-48 is not insurmountable, but it would definitely be changing the direction of the tide a little bit.
Well, let me go back to what Doyle said. One, Arkansas Democrats are in great position in 2014. The races that are set up that are going to be open seats, we have great opportunities in, and we expect to take back the House. And with regards to what Chairman Webb said and Senator Dismang about doing conservatives proud, look, it made it harder to vote, harder for you to make decisions with your doctor. I mean, it was a very partisan session in the beginning, focused on issues that divide us. And it was up to Democrats who pushed and focused on health care, Big River Steel, jobs, jobs, jobs. That focus, the defining issues in this session were really the leadership of Governor Beebe and House and Senate Democrats.
Let's turn our attention to other electoral politics in 2014. You've got a high-profile U.S. Senate race, incumbent Senator Mark Pryor, Democrat. No challenger yet on the GOP side. Who's going to get in this race, Chairman?
Well, it's too early to say that, but there will be a strong challenger in that race. And the race will come down to Obama, Pryor, Obama Pryor, and it's the Republicans that are protecting the state of Arkansas from the liberal policies of Barack Obama, facilitated through Senator Pryor.
So Obama's going to be on the ticket with Mark Pryor in 2014.
He's on the ticket. He's in the midterm.
All right, Chairman Bond.
Well, every appearance we have, Chairman Webb and I always want to count the number of times he says Obama. And President Obama will not be on the ballot in the midterm elections. And Senator Pryor has always been a voice for Arkansas. And he's always said his slogan is put Arkansas first, which he has done. He's an incredible, humble public servant. And right now he's running unopposed. So I think Chairman Webb may be overstating the challenge that's going to be made against Senator Pryor. He's been serving Arkansas proud and his family, his father before him, and we expect to continue that great leadership for the people of Arkansas. He served us well, and he's going to win in 2014.
Quickly before the break, there are two candidates for governor on the Democratic side, Asa Hutchinson and Curtis Coleman, too, on the Republican side. Do you expect someone else to challenge Asa Hutchinson? If so, who?
It's too early to tell.
All right.
All right.
Too early.
Gentlemen, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, gentlemen. When we come back, a discussion with our political long table. What happened behind the scenes to secure the votes for that historic health care legislation? I'm David Goins alongside Roby Brock, and you have the Capitol View on Sunday morning on KARK.